there was an investigation when it comes to the Roman Catholic Church in England and as well as in Wales. Reportedly, 3,000 complaints were received regarding child sexual exploitation. Around 83% of the crimes related to child sexual exploitation were conducted by whites themselves. So that probably means that all the Christians are inherently evil or their religion is evil. Nobody is saying that. Any religion teaches us. I would say that every religion in the world specifies that such things are evil.
Demographically, they are having a serious challenge because of breakup of family system. They are suffering right from their childhood. So a narrative of Islamophobia was built based on 9/11.
Greetings everyone and welcome back to the TFT Perspective. Viewers, today we are going to revisit the issue of the grooming gang story inside UK, which took the world by storm. And surprisingly, the far-right extremist elements were, labeling Muslims as inherently evil, especially when it comes to South Asian Muslims. Pakistanis in particularly were targeted in this fiasco. But we are going to, report the issues based on facts, not just hearsay and stories created by the Times or, a Tommy Robinson figure which has been appearing again and again on X, especially when it comes to important X accounts from Elon Musk supporting such extremist elements who have been behind bars for quite some time and has been declared as one of the major criminals when it comes to not going with court directions or court orders inside UK and making fake stories when it comes to Islam at large and immigrants who have basically contributed so much when it comes to UK and its economy. Now, according to, the Ministry of Justice inside UK, around 83% of the crimes related to child sexual exploitation were conducted by whites themselves. Predominantly, the major ethnic group inside UK is the white population, and around 83% of such crimes when it comes to grooming or rape related issues were conducted by this ethnic group. Other than that, when it comes to Pakistanis at large inside UK or UK born Pakistanis, only 2% of the overall grooming gangs constitute of just Pakistanis. So these figures tell you a very different tale when it comes to far-right propaganda and lamenting accusations against Islam or Pakistanis in general. We're going to update you on this issue, what's happening right now and where the investigations are leading, as well as the propaganda that has caused severe damage when it comes to propagating the issue of Islamophobia at large, which is very common when it comes to Europe and North America. Today we have with us Mr. Waqar K. Korvi. Sir, the issue which has been going for quite some time, the debate seems to be calmer now, but the damage has already been done because when it comes to X, which is being followed by so many people in the name of freedom of expression and such themes, Mr. Musk, who is currently the 400 billion billionaire, is, I would say, one of the most insecure and paranoid people I have actually seen or read about. His recent scandal, in fact, regarding, using proxies when it comes to gaming in order to achieve a higher level, that itself projects him as a very insecure person because he's actually shadow banned so many accounts which expose this and is now fighting against a YouTuber named Asmongold. So if the far right is looking for such people for news and, for freedom of expression, this seems to be very hypocritical, don't you think?
Yes, I think if you look at overall social media, especially the which follows the populist leaders, they have become actually cyber tribes, or you can say digital tribes, and they'll not see what's wrong with their leader, and whatever he does is taken as the gospel's truth, and they will follow it like Pied Pipers, followers. So interestingly, I think that day we were discussing that now some of the gaming community is going to sue Mr. Elon Musk for running these fake accounts, and he's even acknowledged, I think, in one of the podcasts that yes, I have certain level, and I don't know, you're right that he has some insecurity. So I think with so much of money, so much of influence, one should be above these things. But coming to the main aspect of influence, you are right when you say that somebody like Elon Musk, when he tweets,
Mhm.
and there are millions of people who watch it or read it, uh, the thing is already communicated, and the impression is basically, I would say, casted on the mind.
Mhm.
Now it may be rebuttals by people or the governments or the community, Pakistani community. Like that day we had Dr. Hamid Al Mashriqi from UK, and he was making efforts to actually explain it. And these percentage, I wish that Trump can, Elon Musk can at least put these figures.
Mhm.
And we appeal to Mr. Elon Musk that let's see the figures given by the U.S. Watchdogs who look at these things, or the police commissioners council, that 85% are whites,
Mhm.
and then
84%, 83%. Yeah.
3%, and then you have I think 7% are African American, and then you have 5% are Asians. Otherwise, yeah, other way around. And within that, Pakistanis are just 2%. So, and then of course you can definitely focus on those three areas where there were cases which became high profile cases. So let's suppose if it is entire United Kingdoms, and you have basically Wales and Sussex, and then you have Scotland and England. Within that, if it is happening in three counties, and that too about 4 or 5 cases, and that becomes a high profile case because Pakistanis were involved, does not mean that they are the major, let's say, contributors to this evil. We'll not support it. Anybody doing this grooming gang business or child abuse should be punished irrespective of, but the correct figures should be there. So when Mr. Elon Musk does it, it spreads, and then nobody can really rebut it because it's already spread across the globe. And generally it is then it develops a very strong perception about a certain community.
Mhm.
Now I think there is some reason that there's some collaboration with the right wing in UK,
I mean, it's
and
very clear. He said that he's financially supporting alternate for Deutschland inside Germany. Then he wants people like Nigel Farage to take over conservative leadership inside UK. Bring back the Brexit party. We can, make Europe great again. This is his latest tweet in that as well. So, don't you think even when it comes to the Ministry of Justice data, nobody is coming up and saying, since 83% of such crimes are being committed by white people and, for instance, Christians at large, so that probably means that all the Christians are inherently evil or their religion is evil. Nobody is saying that. The UNICEF itself has stated that when it comes to child sexual exploitation or rape at large, it's more to do with a lot of issues surrounding the social economic structure of different ethnicities. It's not even interlinked to what any religion teaches us. I would say that every religion in the world specifies that such things are evil at the end of the day. Nobody does that. So just pointing out that immigrants are at fault, or completely, I would say, changing positions when it comes to narrative construction or building a negative perception, how at the end of this day this would serve the UK citizens are at large or their economy, because their demographics are, when it comes to overall population, it's failing severely.
Yeah, I think the benefit is only for the populist leaders, and like what is happening in India.
Mhm.
We've seen President Trump, despite he has a lot of support, but basically he is a populist leader, so they can get away with it. Now let's come to the core of the problem in the larger West, and then we come to United Kingdoms. In the larger West, we know that demographically they are having a serious challenge because of breakup of family system, atomization of families. Why? When President even Putin says that he would support, those young girls who marry and have children, so it means that there is a serious problem. Same is happening in larger West, including South Korea, including Japan, and even in North America. The demographic, I think, sustenance is because of the immigrants who settle there, but otherwise white population is in decline. Canada, we have seen almost 40,000 people left in Greenland. That's why I think Trump is now looking at that potential for imperialism. And then let's come to UK. One is that more than 55% now, as per the current data, children are born out of wedlock. Now, this is a very sophisticated word to say that basically
Mm-hmm.
their parents never got married. So, just imagine if half of the population being born, newly born population in UK in last past 20 years, this is the consistent figure and it is increasing,
Mm-hmm.
are born to, let's say, out of wedlock. It means that they are suffering right from their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Either the, let's say, boy or the girl who's parenting that kid would actually abandon him. So mostly they will end up as being raised in single parent homes, and then maybe she gets married or he gets married. So you have a foster father or mother. So you start getting abused right from day one. And there may be certain, like there was, I think, a documentary on a lady, Miss Lily, and this she became a prey to, let's say, those gangs where the Pakistanis were involved, and it was then discovered that basically she was raised in a foster home.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that her foster father or caretaker was abusing her, and then she left the home. And then landed up with the gangs. But when you say grooming gangs, I think there's need to define why they are called grooming gangs, because these are all those abandoned kids who were either been abandoned by the let's say family or society or even their foster homes, and after 18 or even before 18 they can move around. They'll end up with these gangs. Then gangs would do is they'll identify the vulnerability, then start grooming them with money, with, let's say, support, transport, or maybe then taking them to parties, and then they are exploited.
Mm-hmm.
And this is being done all across all the ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say if overall you have 100 cases, then there are 2% involving Pakistanis, there may be 2.5% involving Indians, there will be other Asian communities, and then 85% is, let's say, the whites. So it means it is very much proportionate to the existing population pattern. But the main thing is the culprit is the society. When you break it up, when you throw your child. Now, if you look at US, there are, I think, there was a figure that 300,000 kids are today in foster homes. They are not living in their homes, and 40% of them will be abused.
Mm-hmm.
There was another figure, I think, in UK that more than 800,000 UK males or British males will create or are creating, I would say, vulnerability for the children because there's chances of sexual harassment. Now, the harassment could be also in many. There's one physical, which is, I think, the most heinous. Then you have online harassment
Mm-hmm.
of, let's say, passing indecent pictures or involving them. And you know what happens in the WhatsApp groups. And then it is also being done by females, although the percentage is less, like females may be constituting 15%. But in this case, you find that the females are now harassing the young males. So this is, I think, the I would say the bottom line or the core of the problem. Instead of strengthening, despite that, I think Elon Musk has now highlighted by end of the century, which there will be 4 or 5 viable countries. As he said, because of demographics, it will be China. The population would come down to 700 million. So there will be decline, but still, India would be declining, but closer to 800 million. And then he talks of Nigeria, Indonesia, and Pakistan. Because Pakistan maybe at that time will be like maybe 400 million. So it means that these demographically these will become the giants. They will run the entire world. So it is because of, I would say, family system.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at Pakistan, Nigeria, or India, there is existing family system. In China, family system is there, but there was a one-child policy, so they are suffering because it was an enforced policy. So it means the world will be run by them. Now, instead of appreciating these countries or communities and their, I think, I would say, contribution to, let's say, their societies or countries. Like I think Hamid al-Mashki mentioned that despite being 2% of the UK's population, the Pakistani origin community contributes closer to 10% of the GDP.
Mm-hmm.
So it means it's a huge number. So it means that actually they are contributing 5 times more than their demographic strength, because most of them are young. So these are the problems which I think, like Elon Musk, I think it's good that he has huge family, a lot of children, and I think he's done something else also. We'll not discuss it, by donation of certain things, so that the whites have more children. But these are the core of the problem. Because if you read Pat Buchanan book Death of the West, it indicated, and this was written I think much before.
2008 and 2009, I
Yeah,
think.
or
Yeah.
maybe even before that. That he said the future engineers, the soldiers, the doctors, the labor, the farmers is going to come from developing countries because, as far as whites are concerned, there'll be basically declining demographic pattern, and there'll be a huge problem to run these countries. One. Now we come to why this factor is now become pronounced. So one is, of course, I would not say Trump is far right, but definitely he is toward the right side, and his policies are definitely more nationalistic. He's populist, and he has a team like Vivek Ramaswamy or Elon Musk or Marco Rubio, who on one side would support Israel and genocide on the other side. They generally have, I would say, Islamic phobic tendencies. I'll not say they are Islamic phobic. So, and then you have connivance by, let's say, Indians of importance or Indians of stature in US in the
Like
policy.
I would even say Rishi Sunak himself, the former prime minister, was very focused on the Pakistani community at large, that they are predominantly responsible for such instances.
Yes, I think good reminder that even in UK, Rishi Sunak, the interior minister was basically Suila Braverman, who was again, I think, almost Islamophobic. And she targeted she said that, in this case, all of them are Pakistani. Then somebody asked, when you say all of Pakistanis, what is the data? She never replied. Rishi Sunak also kind of, put it under the carpet and let the impression, grow. However, then I think Interior Ministry came up with the figures that no, it's only related to those 3 counties. And it was nothing to do with the general pattern. But the die was cast. The impression has been, and that impression has been carried by Tommy Robinson and now being supported by Elon Musk. I'll just cover, I think, 3 or 4 more points. One is Indian community had, I think, a bad time in Canada.
Yes.
Because of transnational oppression by Modi government and sending, death squads to kill people like Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And then because of internal politics, Justin Trudeau had to resign. It was not because some people were saying, it's Trump's pressure or Indian pressure. It was internal dynamics of the party. There'll be new election, new leadership would come up. There they suffered. Then the H1B1 visa issue came up in US. Because then it started impacting, the oligarchs, Trump and,
the MAGA campaigners were actually blaming Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy as oligarchs.
No, so it means that they require now a deflection. So probably there was a connivance by the Indian community or those influential peoples, maybe Vivek Ramaswamy. So deflection was thrown into UK that was basically issue of grooming gangs, which was, I think, very, very unfortunate. There's also issue of I would say appointment of Indian origin people in Trump administration. Who's going to head the NIA, who's heading the FBI, Mr. Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard is going to be heading the NIA. And then, of course, even in I think European Union, you mentioned that Musk wants to support the right wing,
Yes.
who are indirectly Islamic phobic. So it means that in case AFD comes into Germany, there will be more Islamophobia. Or France Front National of Marine Le Pen comes in France, there will be Islamophobia. Italy, we already have a right wing. So they are also probably going to target Scandinavian countries. Elon Musk has a lot of money, $400 billion. So I think sparing a couple of $1 billion for any country in European Union can just turn the tables. So that's very, very unfortunate. That's why Europe has now become worried. Like I think British Prime Minister Keir Starmer was worried that how can you start influencing, and he was being told by Elon Musk to resign.
Yeah, very absurd statements. Other than that, there was an investigation when it comes to the Roman Catholic Church in England and as well as in Wales. Although a lot of, I would say, the British Islanders are mostly Anglophiles when it comes to religion at large. In that area, when it comes to Wales and England, reportedly 3,000 complaints were received regarding child sexual exploitation. And this is when it comes to Catholic priests at large. And there was a famous, I would say, scandal when it comes to even a lot of senior archbishops were involved in this as well. So nobody mentioned that this particular community or the Italians or the British, or I would say anybody can come up with an excuse that this incident took place over here, this is the amount of percentage of people involved, or this is the percentage of clergy involved. So that means this subject is closed, and this is completely evil. This area of Middle East, or South Asia, or around 2.3 billion Muslims in the world, they're all inherently evil, and we want to get rid of them. But at the end of the day, you also have to run your economy, you have to live with them, you have to have your weapons sold to Middle Eastern countries. Then that doesn't this these things don't apply then, these things don't come up then. Don't you think that there is hypocrisy when it comes to what's happening inside Europe at home, and how they deal with things outside Europe?
I think overall they've been Islamophobia, and especially after 9/11, because there had to be a narrative, and since the battle or the war was being brought into heart of Middle East, and the GIs had to come and physically occupy Iraq and Afghanistan, and maybe then disturb rest of the MENA region. So a narrative of Islamophobia was built based on 9/11. Still 9/11, there are a lot of conspiracy theories.
Previously, it was the communists are inherently evil. Then it became Muslims are inherently
because
evil.
they could feed that after the breakup of Soviet Union. Now the next challenge, I don't think so there was any challenge coming from political Islam, but it was manufactured. So that one that is continued. Now, as far as the far right is concerned, or any right-wing parties, they don't have a proper program for issue like do they have a program for demographics? Do they have a program how they're going to run? Let's say today I think Trump will be inaugurated, and there is a news that he's going to pass 100 executive orders. And I was just in a program.
And just for the immigrants or illegal immigrants alone, Marco Rubio suggested that around 120, I would say, 12 million immigrants are illegal, and they're going to deport them. And
even more than that.
Yeah, even more than that.
Yeah, because
so you mentioned that this will require a lot of expensive when it comes to air travel or by even sea. And how they're going to do this, it's like a repeat of what happened in, during World War II, when a lot of Japanese American citizens were held in camps, or I would say concentration camps.
Yes, there was 120. This was through executive order by then the American president. Now coming to this, I'm just taking example of what is, let's say, what should be the policy and what are the slogans, and how difficult it is to actually match the slogans and the policy. Like there's a very positive report that he's going to sign 100 executive orders tonight in Pakistan and let's say midday USA. First thing he's going to do is, and the first order will be on deportation of immigrants. Now, as you were mentioning, that the official figure is somewhere between 11 million to 12 million. So it's 1 crore 20 lakh. But Marco Rubio actually last year during campaign said that they are 30 million. So it means it is 3 crores. Now let's assume that it is the official figure, and I'll just give a brief breakdown. Most of them, 50% or more are from Mexico. Then you have closer to 1 million from India. So this is one of the large groups of illegal immigrants. I don't know how Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy could justify that. But in any case, they are going to, let's say, deport them. Now, if the figure is 100 and let's say 12 million, and you employ, let's say you deport them through aircrafts, and suppose there are smaller aircrafts which can carry 200. So you require 60,000 flights to deport them. And I've calculated that I don't think so US will be able to run 60,000 flights in a year. So even if you spread over 4 years, you break it down, so it's going to take 4 years and probably a couple of thousands of flights. So if you divide 60,000 by 4, it's like 15,000 flights per year they have to run. And just imagine per day how many flights will be there. So it means that Trump administration's tenure next 4 years will be half of it will be consumed, and the figures are it is 100 to 200 billion dollars of cost, because you have to then put them in the aircraft, pay the airlines. Then there are kids, there are old people, and there are illegal immigrants who are there for last 20 years. What do? They have businesses, they were teaching, maybe they were working on the farm. Then comes what are the priority? The California fire in Los Angeles has cost them $300 billion. And since the state is being run by the Democrats, so Republicans are having a field day in criticizing them. But ultimately, this is the most, I would say, prosperous state of America. It's a matter of the prestige. And California has, I think, GDP larger than a lot of countries. Is the federal government under Trump not going to look after, rehabilitation in California? Or the deportation is the main, let's
I
say.
heard that a lot of Mexican firefighters came in to help
Yeah,
the
and
California-
Canadians.
and
Even the
Canadians.
aircrafts and the scoopers have
The
come.
areas they want to annex.
So all told, I think there should be, toning down of rhetoric, focusing on policy. I am not saying that Trump should not follow his election agenda or whatever he has promised to the MAGA crowd. He should do it, but you should look at the plausibility of your action. Is it possible or not? Then they are going to also issue executive order to, I think, free those 1,500 guys who assaulted the Capitol. This is also going to happen today. Then is, I think, JF Kennedy's assassination file is going to be disclosed. Probably is going to start targeting the FBI. And, Mr. Kash Patel is ready to take that
So
report.
they are going to deport immigrants at the same time have a fight with the establishment
Yes, this is, I think, going to be a huge challenge.
and reduce their numbers.
And
You know,
reduce
Mr. Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy repeatedly suggested that we are going to reduce a lot of federally directed agencies. Around 90% of their
Yeah.
manpower will be reduced.
I also have an interesting, clash list of states. What has happened that immigrants are also smart. They've started moving to Democrat states, and there are, I think, 5 cities which have now a lot of concentration of these illegal immigrants. You have Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Denver, and Miami, and these are mostly run by Democrats. So it means that Mr. Homan. Tom Homan, who has been made the czar of immigration, he said that we're going to start creating detention center, and I'll send the federal forces, including the National Guard and maybe the army, to arrest these guys. Whereas the states, Democrat states, are saying they are our guests, and he's basically saying that we are going to force it. He's already, I think, they start passing the orders tonight. So it means that you may find clash between the state governments and the federal government right from the day one. When they go and start arresting, they are going to protect. And those 1,500 that Trump is going to give presidential pardons are being called as hostages by Mr. Trump. They were not, let's say, convicted, but they were hostages. So it's going to be very interesting. So
They are also related to, he mentioned that Hezbollah and FBI were working with cahoots with one another when it comes to the Capitol Hill attack.
And I think another important information is that the inauguration ceremony is going to take place indoor, and there is actually not because of freezing temperature. Generally, Washington DC is at -6
There are
at
threats.
this time.
He has been
These are
already,
huge.
assassination attempts on him twice.
And now we're
Probably
talking of Sarah Adams saying that ISIS is involved, and those 2 officers, one retired and one serving, who exploded in Pennsylvania, and Trump's hotel in Las Vegas were from military. And so there are a lot of stories. And I was looking at one of the AI generated video that how Trump could be attacked, drones and all that. So let's see.
Let's hope these things don't happen. That's it for today, folks. Please do leave a like and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much for watching us. Bye bye.